Melbourne anglers talk in sort of hushed tones about a population of golden perch that may or may not live in Albert Park Lake. I've heard about it, I've read about it, but a long time ago. I wanted to go and find out for myself if these fish were actually there.
Now normally when you're targeting golden perch, you'd probably use something like a stump jumper or a fairly deep diving bibbed minnow, smaller than a cod lure, but this lake is only about 1.5 meters deep, so those lures are really not going to prove effective when fishing this sort of terrain. So what we've got on today is actually a brim lure, which is the Eco Gear ZX. It's a prawn imitation of all things, and works much the same as metal blades, but has 2 trailing assist hooks. And they swim freely behind the lure as it wobbles through the water. And the great thing is that I can use this at a fairly low speed and keep it up out of the weeds.
Well, perch aren't known to be a voracious, predaceous fish. They're fairly docile type fish. They'll sit in their hole, they'll protect their territory. So what I want to do is get a lure, something like this, that's brash, in your face, it's going to vibrate a heap, and get that as close to the fish as possible. Get a reaction out of them, get them, hey, you get out of my territory, and get them to eat that. That's why I want to use a lure like this.
Alright, so basically the technique we're using is cast the lure out, let it sink down a couple of feet, and then just a slow roll back, keeping it out of the weeds. The fantastic thing about these light blades is that you can just slow roll them and they will stay fairly high up in the water column if you want them to. So they'll keep vibrating, and those little assist hooks out the back, they'll keep flashing around. Now I reckon a lure like this is fantastic for prospecting. You can get long casts out, you can run it deep, you can run it shallow, and it gets a fantastic action out of it, even at low speed. So I can keep the lure in front of the fish when we find them for much longer than a floating or a sinking lure of a heavier weight. Now when fishing for golden perch in lakes, one of the prime things to do is make sure that you don't get stagnant. Keep moving around. These fish aren't going to come to you, so you need to move to them. Present the lure around, cover an area, and then move on. Perch are a schooling fish, so if you do come across one fish, keep casting into that area, and with a bit of luck, you'll pull out more than one. The thing with a lake like this is you've got so much water, and it's also shallow. It really is about getting your lure out into every nook and cranny in the place. You want to keep working. You see weed beds, a bit of a tree that's come down, want to run your lure past it. Just a slow retrieve, keeping the rod tip down, let the action of the lure do its thing. Yep, we're on. Beautiful. This is a nice fish too. This is fantastic fish. All right. So now we're only using light gear here, so I can't put too much hurt on this fish. As I said, it hit like an absolute freight train, and it's now putting in its little runs. All right. See if I can't turn its head. You can see this gear is working to its limit. Got a nice 2500 size reel here, so I got a bit more drag, but the line that I'm using, really fine diameter line. I can't put too much hurt on this fish, but luckily, I'm not contending with too many snags, so just ease it in close to me. That's what we came here for, a fish like this. This is phenomenal. 2.5, maybe 3 kilo fish. Going to be about 50 centimeters, I'd say, just by the looks of it here. Still got a bit of fight, so I'm going to let him get himself a little bit tuckered out. As I said, I don't have the gear to manhandle this fish around. So, what we'll do is just let him do his thing. Stay in control of him. Can't believe this is what Melbourne has to offer on its doorstep. A lot of guys in Melbourne would think you've got to drive out to Lake Eildon or something to tackle with a golden perch like this. And I think this proves my point that you can do some amazing fishing right here in Melbourne. I'm going to see if I can get him in now. He looks like he's getting fairly tired. A thumb in the mouth and a comfort lift, supporting the weight of his belly in your hand. There you go. Have a look at that, would you? Now that is a golden perch. All right, let's get this fish back in the water. One of the things we have to remember is that while this lake was stocked quite some time ago, it's not stocked anymore. So the only way we can maintain the numbers of these fish is to get them back in the drink. Hopefully somebody else will be able to catch this fish another day. Oh, he was ready to rock and roll. There we go. Fantastic. So after catching a nice fish like that last perch, what you want to do is increase your chances of catching another perch. Don't move, stay in the same area. As I've said, they're a schooling fish. So get your lure straight back in there where you got your last fish from, and chances are you'll hook onto another.
Okay, so you want to get into urban fishing. The three things that you must know is, one, travel light. Don't take all the stuff that you think you need, take what you know you need. Research before you go. Get online, have a look around on Google Earth, things like that. And three, have a plan. Go in there knowing what you want to catch and catch it.
We're fighting it on fairly light tackle, so I'm going to take it easy on him. He's a big fish. Only got a little bit left. We'll just get him in nice and easy. I'll guide him in and lift him out. So this is where you lose a lot of your fish, but if you don't want to bring a landing net, this is the way you got to go about it. Grab your leader and guide that fish in. You just want to get thumb right into his gob and support his belly. And there you go, look at that. That is a lump of a fish and fantastic fun fighting that on light gear. The initial hit, these fish are known to have hit like a freight train, and certainly lifting this small blade, you can see it's a very small offering for it, but lifting that blade off the bottom and then feeling this thing slam headlong into it, that's fantastic. You can't ask for much more than that. So there you go, proof that these Eco Gear ZX blades are a fantastic lure for targeting golden perch with. These fish were stocked about 12 years ago. We last had a look at this in freshwater fishing. There's been a few stocking operations for these fish, and through sensible fishing by the anglers that are aware of these fish populations, we've been able to maintain this as a fantastic golden perch fishery. This fish captured on what you would call brim gear, really. 1 to 3 kilo spinning stick, 2500 size reel, 8 pound mainline, 6 pound leader, and a very small vibration style lure. Just fishing a couple of inches off the bottom, rolling it around, prospecting, casting out, working in a fan-like fashion, and you do that enough and you'll get something like this.
Alright, so you've turned up to Albert Park Lake. Now what you've got to bear in mind is this is a heavily used public area. You've got runners, kids, animals, everything around you, as well as ducks on the water. So be conscientious when you're casting, make sure you don't leave any gear lying around, hooks, that sort of thing that'll get in kids' feet. So just make sure that you're thinking about other people while you're fishing in these heavily populated areas.
I think now it's played pop star enough. We'll get this lure out of his gob, and I think we better let him go. And for the guys that travel all the way around the world to have a win at the Albert Park Grand Prix track, tell you what, I feel like I've won the world title with a fish like this. Fantastic. All right, there we go, away he goes. Fantastic.
Now the great thing about urban fishing is you can go into an area, populated by thousands of people. They don't know that there's fish in that area. You rock up with your rod and your reel, and all of a sudden you start pulling out of an area that they think is barren a whole heap of fish right in front of their face. That is fantastic.